Okay. Wait, one more minute. Hope everyone could hear me. Can you hear me? No? Can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Should be. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear? Is your volume on? Okay, great. Okay, it's 11 o'clock. They can hear me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram and YouTube. Okay. Great. I want to welcome everybody. I just want to say that one second.
You're not on Instagram.
People on Instagram say they hear me. Okay, if you're on Instagram, please send me a message that you can hear me or see me.
Are you on Instagram?
I am on my thing.
On which thing? Are you on my Instagram?
No, I'm on my Instagram. No. Give me a second.
Nobody knows your Instagram.
Okay, give me a second. Sorry, everyone, wait with me for a minute. Hold on for just a minute. Sorry, everyone. Give me a second. Take it live. Okay, we're just on YouTube, and we're not on Instagram. We'll try to get that. We'll try to get that all figured out for tomorrow. But if you can follow me on YouTube, that's where I'm going to be right now. Okay.
Papa, I thought you was at the library.
Okay. So I just want to say that we're doing this because even though many of us are not in school or maybe not learning where we usually do, we still need to learn. It's really important that we're all learning. And it's really important that especially that children are learning. And as Pesach is coming up, I thought it was a great opportunity to take about 40 minutes every day, and we can talk about Pesach. We can learn about Pesach. And we can get ready together. And we can go over lots of things. Okay.
Hi, Mommy. Let's say hi to Mommy.
Okay.
Hi, Mommy.
All
Hi,
right.
Mommy.
Please. Go sit down. I also ask for patience as we go through this process and we figure this out and work out some technical difficulties with our crew in the room. But everybody, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're joining, and we can keep learning. We can keep the kids learning. We do this together. Okay. So first, I want to start with who I am. My name is Donnie Meisels. I'm in Toronto, and I'm here because we all need something to do, and kids need to learn, and other people need to learn as well. And maybe there's many people who don't know me, and so maybe you're thinking, well, why should I trust this guy? I don't really know who he is. That is very fair, and I would say that everything that I talk about, look into it yourself, think it over, and this is interactive. So you have questions, please send them along. I can see people asking any questions, and we can answer questions and do things together. My goal is to teach about Pesach, to go through the Haggadah, kind of. We'll do a little bit of an outside in the Haggadah, and also we'll learn about the Haggadah inside at a later time. And we'll also talk about some of the halachos of Pesach and some of the things that we do on Pesach and maybe some reasons why. But what's important to know is that our children really are the future of the Torah, and without the Torah, the Jewish people need the Torah. Is our identity, and so we need to keep it going. And there's amazing. We have to be very thankful that we have technology and so many options to really expand on how we teach Torah and how we send it out and interact with it. What else? Okay. We're going to teach some things that many of you might not know. Maybe you do know, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be some things we're going to talk about while we do this that will be new and will be very new to a lot of people, but we're going to do our best to explain it. And so there is no bad questions. Don't think there's any question that is maybe silly or you'd be embarrassed to ask. There's no bad questions. We'll try to answer as many as we can. Okay. All right, let's jump into it. Yes.
He's starting.
And if I can ask that the crew members have a seat. Go have a seat. No. Go have a seat and listen.
He's starting.
All right. Pesach is really, really important. I think everybody knows that. It's not just about matzah balls and if you eat kabrux, maybe you don't. But it's not just about that, and it's not just about the crispy matzah or the matzah that maybe tastes like it's from last year.
No.
It's very important. Let's point out a few things about it. One is we know that the story of Pesach is the very beginning of the Jewish people as a whole. This is the point where we become the Jewish people, and so as being a Jewish person, this is really, really important to you. Most of what we do, if we think about it for just a minute or two, most of what we do, almost everything we do, has to do with the fact that we're Jewish, that we're Jewish boys or girls or men or women. And so that makes up everything about us. That is our whole life, and it means everything to us. So if this is the starting point of all of that, then it's extremely important. We have to spend some time to understand why it's here, what it does for us, what we need to understand about it. In fact, we mention it all the time. We're always talking about it. We talk about it in Kiddush. Pay attention. Kiddush Friday night, right? We say Zecher Yetzias Mitzrayim. Very famous line, Zecher Yetzias Mitzrayim. If you're listening at all, we say it all the time. We also talk about it, about Yetzias Mitzrayim in Shema. We have to say it twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening when we when we say over the Shema, which is a mitzvah, we mention that Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim. And then in Davening, in many places in Davening, we're mentioning Yetzias Mitzrayim. We're talking about Hashem taking us out. We're talking about Kriyas Yamsuf. We're talking about, Yetzias Mitzrayim. It's talked about a lot. And then on top of that, we have an entire Yom Tov dedicated towards it. Yes. Go sit down.
Is Lily? I thought Lily was not away.
On top of that, we have an entire Yom Tov dedicated to it. All Pesach. It's a whole holiday just around this event. And so we have to understand it. We have to realize why we do it, what it's there for, and what it's going to help us with, right? Right. Okay. So Pesach's not just about remembering what happened. Okay? Because if it's about remembering what happened in Mitzrayim, well, like we just said, we talk about it all the time. Pesach comes up all the time. So why do we need a whole 7 or 8 days, depending on where you are and where you're watching this? I think there's people from everywhere watching this. Why do we need a Yom Tov about it if we're mentioning it all the time, every day? Why? I mean, it's nice to be off of school, maybe. It's nice to have a break. It's nice to eat some of the foods that we all look forward to on Pesach.
Yeah.
It's also really nice to go shopping in grocery stores that are overloaded and crowded with people. But why do we have to have a whole Yom Tov about it? Well, it must be that it's not just a good story, and it is a good story, and we will go through the story. But it's got to be more than just about the story. And what Pesach is really about is about reliving and experiencing what the Jewish people, what our grandparents, our great, all the way back parents went through and experienced in Mitzrayim themselves, and what we're going to experience as well. Come have a seat. So let's talk a bit about Pesach. Let's talk a bit about the story. We'll jump right on in. Talk just a little bit. Start on the story. Start a little bit on the story. Jewish people, when they were in Mitzrayim, when the Jewish people were in Mitzrayim, okay, the Jewish people were in Mitzrayim. We worked very, very hard. Yes, the Jewish people worked very, very hard. They worked night and day. Well, not night, because at night they would go to sleep, but they would go home very, very late, and then very, very early they would get woken up. And they would have to work very, very hard. And this is because, as we know, they were avadim, they were slaves in Mitzrayim. That's right. Now, here's the question. The question is, what is an eved? What is a slave? But more specifically, what is a slave when we talk about the slavery in Mitzrayim? So let's see. Does anybody know? Does anybody want to take a guess and or know the answer? 1 second. That's not in the room with me, and want to just maybe interact and post an answer here. What is a slave? What does it mean to be a slave?
It means that you're talking to people.
So someone said.
And then you go.
Someone who said someone who works for no money. What's a slave? What's a slave?
A snowflake.
A snowflake. No, a snowflake is not a slave. But what does it mean to be a slave? What does it mean to be a slave? Anybody? Anybody out there?
Everybody.
Let's tell a story. Okay? I'm going to tell kind of a story that will kind of give us an idea of what it means to be a slave. Okay? So sit back on the couch, relax, and listen to this kind of story with your parents. Okay, here's my helper. There is a man, a worker that has a master. Okay. Someone said a worker that has a master is a slave. That's true. But it seems like, oh, but someone else said to work for someone. So then maybe all our parents, or if you're a parent out there watching, is also a slave. That could be true. That could be true. We're all slaves to something. But I think the slavery in Mitzrayim, the slavery in Egypt, is a little bit was different, because there are many different things about it. So let me give a kind of a story, and through the story we'll try try to get a point across. Okay, so imagine that someone comes to you and says, "I want to open up an ice cream store with you. It's going to be a great ice cream store. We're going to serve all the regular flavors: chocolate, vanilla, um, well, I don't know what the other Rocky Road, chocolate, mint chocolate chip, like blanking on all the different flavors out there. Okay, yeah, delicious, all the amazing flavors. We're gonna have at least the main three types of cones that you can have, because there's the waffle cone, there's the sugar cone, and then there's the really, the cheap cone that almost tastes like you're eating cardboard or something. Uh,
Ew.
and then there's all the toppings. We're gonna have all the toppings. We're gonna have gummy bears. They're gonna be kosher. We're gonna have gummy bears. We're gonna have sprinkles, marshmallows. We're gonna have chocolate chips, all the syrups. We're gonna have all the different syrups. And then on top of all that, it's gonna be an even greater ice cream place than any place else. You might be thinking, well, what's so good about your ice cream store that I'm gonna want to come to it? So we're gonna offer crazy flavors too. Okay. So we're gonna offer flavors like heart flavor. That was one I just heard. Or we're gonna offer meat flavored and uh, but some other flavors, pizza flavors, hamburger
Pickle.
flavored, pickle flavor. That's gonna be a very popular one. The pickle
Oh,
flavor
and strawberry.
ice cream. Okay, yeah, and strawberry ice cream. Okay, we'll do strawberry pickle blend.
Oh, and
Okay.
unicorn.
Anyway,
Unicorn.
we're going to have chillin flavor. Yes, chillin flavored ice cream, and there will be a few different chili flavor ice cream because depending on if you're Ashkenazi or Sephardi, your flavor ice cream is going to be a little bit different. Anyway, great. We're going to open up this fantastic
And
chicken soup.
cucumbers.
Someone said chicken
And
soup flavor
And cucumber.
and cucumber flavor. Okay, go see. So we're gonna get matzah flavor for Pesach, yeah. So we're gonna get all these different flavors, and we're gonna have this amazing ice cream store. And you say, "Great! I can't wait to open this ice cream store." Okay, can't wait to open this ice cream store. So you get hard to work. Okay, you start working, and you start with those sprinkles. Now, if you've ever seen a sprinkle, it's very very small, but you color each sprinkle. The green ones, the blue ones, the pink ones. You get your markers out, and you're coloring all the sprinkles. You're working very hard to make sprinkles, and once you've done all the different sprinkles that you've done, and you've spent maybe months and months to get a big jar of sprinkles because you have to color each and every one of them. So then you're going to work on the cones, and you spend a lot of time shaping and baking and making these cones, and you've made a lot of them. You worked very, very, very hard. Then it's time to make the gummy bears and the chocolate chips. And the chocolate chips, they're also small, but you shape each one by hand. That's what makes us different than other places. All things are done by hand. So you carved out of a giant block of chocolate, you carved it down to one piece of chocolate chip. And it's going to be very expensive chocolate chip, but you've made that chocolate chip. You spend a long time working on it. Now, you've got everything done. You're all okay. You've done all that work. You still have a few days till you open. But you say to your partner who came to you with this idea, I want to see, look at all this stuff I did. Look at all this hard work I did. And he says, okay, that's fine. But I went out and bought sprinkles, and I went out and bought chocolate chips, and I went out and I bought all the waffle cones and all the other cones for you instead. Yeah, yeah, I see what you did, but I just went out and bought it instead. How would you feel about that? How would that make you feel? How would that make what you would it make you feel about what you did? Let's get some answers from out in the crowd. Wait a minute. Sad. Okay, yeah. Feel pretty sad about it. Okay. Feel pretty sad. But maybe you'd feel good because you did a good job. Angry. Sad. We got a lot of sads.
Can I say?
How would you feel about it? Useless. Someone said useless. Okay, very upset. Okay, very sad. What else? After we get over the sadness, maybe, because that sadness hurts right away. But after we get over that sadness, how would you feel afterwards? Someone said someone would feel happy. Okay. Disheartened. Grumble. Yeah, probably get a lot of grumbles. Okay. How about this? Yeah.
I'd quit and then
Okay, you'd quit. Some people would quit. Someone would quit.
Frustrated.
Okay, someone here, Avinoam Friedman said he'd feel useless. I think we'd all feel like this, right? We'd feel like we did a great job and what we made, we're very proud of what we made, but because no one will ever see it, it will probably be just stored away in the back or maybe thrown out before Pesach time. You'd feel like everything you did was useless or meaningless or is not important, and it was for nothing, right? It was for nothing. This is really the terrible part and the truth about slavery and the slavery that was in Mitzrayim. All the work they did was really for nothing. Even that we learned that the Jewish people built 2 large storage cities, and who knows what the names of those cities were that they built? Anybody know the names? Anybody know what the names of the 2 cities they would build? Okay, Pitom and Ramses. And we're told, the Medrash even says, that the 2 cities were built on ground that they would sink as they would build. So everything they were building was couldn't be used. It was useless. Excellent, Ramses. So yes, they were sinking in and it was just work for the sake of work. People were just doing it for nothing. And all that hard work would go really almost to waste. And so everything you were doing had no meaning at all, had no purpose for anything. You, as a person, as a Jewish person, had no value, no worth. Nobody cared about you. If you couldn't do the work, I'll just get somebody else. And really, that is the really terrible part about slavery, like we're talking about, is where you don't matter. You have absolutely nothing about you matters. Nobody cares about you. Nobody cares what you do. I don't care about your art projects. And I don't care about the sprinkles you made. And I don't care about the chocolate chips. And I don't care about you at all. Not a very nice mess. Not very nice, but that's what it is. So if that's true, if that's true, then the opposite of that must be where you matter most, where you're the most important, where every little thing you do is so important that I want to know about it. I want to see and I want to be able to know about every little thing. This is what we call cherus. This is what we call the freedom of Pesach, where everything that you do is important and is cared about and matters. Now, we're going to talk more about this. We're going to talk more about this, but I just want to touch upon it for just a moment, and we'll get back to it later. Is that this idea of being important and having importance, what you do matters, who you are matters, is the foundation, the cornerstone, the thing we start with when we talk about Torah and about how we interact with Hashem. This is the most important part, is that you matter and that you matter to Him. And so we have mitzvahs like there's a mitzvah on how you put your shoes on and how you tie your shoes and how you dress and about how you take care of yourself and all the things that you do, right? Maybe even to how you sneeze or how you pick your nose, okay? All these things, all these things, there's a way to do them, and all these things are watched, right? Everything. Hashem watches everything that we do. He's so careful to watch every little thing, and that's not because he's looking to get us, and every chance he can, he's going to get us, right? No, it's because every little thing that we do, he wants to know about. He cares about it because he cares about you, because he wants to know you. He wants to know everything about you because he cares so much about it. We can't have a Torah without this. The Torah is all about everything that we do, and how we interact with Hashem, how He and us, how we interact with each other, and so every little thing is important. And so that's why on Pesach, it's not just enough. It's not just enough that we're going to feel like we're important, like we're good, like we have good food, and we're going to have great new clothes and get to stay home from school sometimes and have a lot of fun, and so we feel really good about ourselves. No, first we have to know what it feels like to be a slave, to not have anyone care about you at all. You don't matter at all. No one cares. No one cares about the sprinkles. No one cares about the chocolate chips or the Chillin' flavored ice cream that you spent a long time peeling the potatoes for. Okay? Nobody cares about those things. You have to feel what that feels like, so that when you do feel what it feels like to be important, you really feel what it means to be important. When we can go from one place to the next place, you could really, really experience it and feel it. And so that's what the Haggadah is going to do for us. As you see, as we'll go through the Haggadah, you're going to see that it's going to take us from a place of feeling like we don't matter, like we're not important, to feeling like the most important people in the world or the universe because of how important we really are to Hashem. Okay, that concludes part one of what we're doing here today. And now we're going to shift to part two. And that is, I want to talk about some halachos pertaining to Pesach. Let's talk about Chametz. This is a very bad word on Pesach. Don't say Chametz to anybody. People get crazy. And for good reason. You're not allowed any Chametz on Pesach. So we like go crazy with the Chametz. We got to get it out. You got to make sure you eat as much of it as possible. You're stuffing your face with cereal at every meal and just drinking glasses of milk with cereal to get rid of all the Chametz. And you're feeding bread to every person you can see. Okay, we're ordering as many pizzas as possible before Pesach comes, because once Pesach comes, we can't have pizza anymore, and apparently we can't live without pizza and matzah pizza, even though they've come very far with technology and making pizza for Pesach that's just like the real thing. It's never as good, and so we need lots of chametz before Pesach, right? Someone says here, saying chametz on Pesach is like saying you have a bomb in an airport. Okay. All right. It's very serious. Very serious. We take it very serious. So the question is, what is chametz? What is chametz? What? Let's not talk about all the things that we might say chametz is, like, oh, it's the Yetzer Hara and it's this and that.
I don't know
What those things mean? It's a good question, but let's just talk about the basics first. And what is actual chametz? What are the ingredients to a good piece of chametz? So we have some people here saying cake or bread. Okay. Someone said chametz is like saying coronavirus. Yes. Okay. Daniel Shatner says it's like saying coronavirus. Okay. And people are agreeing. So what are the ingredients in chametz? Here's a good one. Leaven. Daniel Shatner says it's leaven.
What?
Yes, that's the word we use. But what does leaven mean? Wheat. Okay, yes. Wheat is an ingredient in chametz. Very good. Wheat is one of the ingredients in chametz.
Papa, I know.
Very good.
I know.
Bread.
Matzah.
Great. We have some really good answers here. Okay, let's let everybody else throw in their answers. Throw in the answers before we
What is coming? Matzah. Matzah's coming.
Okay, looks like all the results are in. The polls are out there and the results are in. And we have some very good answers here.
Like matzah.
Let's talk about cake.
Coming.
Very good. Let's talk about matzah. Let's talk about classic chametz. Classic chametz is bread. And the ingredients to it are, as some people have pointed out here, flour or wheat, flour, water,
Oil.
and people have put this 18 minutes or time. Time is that magic third ingredient. Bread, there's flour, water, and time. And it's these things that create chametz. Now, it's when you mix the water with the flour and you start to knead it, okay? You start mixing it up. It's getting very sticky. It's getting all over the place. You've never done this before. It's flying in the air. It's in your hair. It's on your shirt. It's all over the place. People are going to get mad because they're going to be stepping in the kitchen and there is flour and dough all over the floor. It's crazy. There is so much water. Where did all this water come from? But at the end of it, you made this dough, and now it comes time to bake it. Well, if you don't get it in an oven baked fully through before 18 minutes are up, you have chametz, the dreaded chametz. Okay, besides the mess that you have in the kitchen, you have chametz. The opposite of this is if you mix that flour, you mix that water, and you get it in the oven fully baked before 18 minutes. That is called, what's that called? This is where the responses are supposed to come.
Say it again, Abba. Say it again.
Matzah, where you mix the water, the flour, and you put it in the oven. It bakes all the way through before 18 minutes. You got matzah. So the difference between matzah and chametz is 18 minutes. That's it. So they're really the same thing. They're made from the same things, but it's just like 1 second or half a millisecond, and then it's chametz. That's it. Chametz. You got to get rid of it. You got to eat it. You got to feed it to the cats and the dogs in the streets before Pesach comes. Now, so that is chametz and that is matzah. And these two things are very important to know about. And we can't have, because as soon as the water hits the flour, that's when the clock starts. Clock starts 18 minutes from when that water hits the flour. If anybody's ever been to a matzah bakery or done it themselves, they know that people are rushing around the room like crazy, screaming for those 18 minutes, because once those 18 minutes come, that's it. And so we have this idea that we have to be very careful with the flour that we use. The flour, once it's either harvested, cut off from the stalk, or ground up, you have to be very careful that no water comes in touch with it, because then you got 18 minutes and it's all over. And that is, for right now, that's what we'll talk. We'll end here on that. That is what makes up Chametz and the difference between Chametz and Matzah. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I hope this was good. Please send along messages, comments, suggestions. I mean, I won't take every suggestion. Can't do that. But all your comments and your suggestions and support are welcome. Please tell people and ask to subscribe to my channel, and we'll try to get this up on Instagram if we could do it tomorrow. What else? Yeah, and we'll hopefully all this won't be necessary, and we can get this in school. But there will be things that we'll be teaching that we probably won't be getting in school, and will be important for you to know as well. And we will see everybody. God willing, we'll see everybody tomorrow, and everybody take care, and see you soon. How about